see what the headlines are in Nigeria. I have with me a journalist, Charles Ideho. He will join us on this panel, as well as a public affairs analyst, Mike Okwoche. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. And happy Salah.
That's right.
Yes.
The holidays are still on today.
Yes,
it's
still
getting
on.
hot today.
Exactly.
So, rounding it up.
But we don't have holiday.
Anyway,
That's why we're here.
in our job, there is no holiday anywhere.
that's
Anyone who wants to go on a holiday as a journalist, you're not a
don't
true
do that.
journalist. We'll check your DNA. All right, Daily Trust is where we start from. Zakzaki wife off to India for treatment. That's the bold headline on the front page of the Daily Sun. That has been making headlines now since this happened yesterday. All right, from the Daily Sun, let's move to News Direct. Zakzaki wife flown abroad for treatment amidst heavy security as Buhari ignores El-Rufai's conditions. Okay, you find all that on the front page of the News Direct. And Obaseki-Oshomole crisis, very soon things will return to normal. Obaseki is saying it says no fundamental issues with Oshomole. We understand he paid a surprise visit to former governor Oshomole, who is the national chairman of the party. All right. Moving from there now to Blueprint. At last, Zakzaki wife off to India. 186 doctors write Buhari. You'll find that on the front page of the Blueprint. Okay. Those are some of the papers for now. Charles, 186 doctors. It took 186 doctors.
Cutting across countries.
Cutting across, you know, and then
also cutting across disciplines too.
Exactly.
Yes.
Talking about different sections of health and,
Yes.
and all of that.
All represented.
Now, talk to me about the issue of, anyway, we are not medical doctors,
We
we cannot go into, okay, does he have a dental issue, does he have, you know, and all of that. But the point there is that he has been kept, you know, the issue of his health has been on the front burner for a very long time, for several years now, when his lawyer has been talking, Femi Falana has been talking. Now, talk to us from that window. How needed, how urgent is this, from your perspective, is this medical attention for him right now?
Well, I think it's that we all have, human beings, we all have rights to good medical care, irrespective of the fact, irrespective of race, irrespective of culture, irrespective of even of class. Because first of all, anybody who has, as you are a Nigerian or any citizen of any country, the right to live is yours. So now he was incarcerated for reasons, you know, of course we all know some of these reasons, but he must be kept alive first of all. So that's why it's very important, and he has also aged. He's not a young man anymore. I think he's a septuagenarian or even octogenarian. So he's quite old, and then he needs that head. So once his head have been revived, then he can he can continue with trial. But the turn that has just been put into it now by this 186, and when you look at the list, no Nigerian doctor is there. They all cut across Iraq, Syria, all of these countries. So they are coming up to raise this alarm internationally. But I think it's too overbearing, because when you look at the 4 points that they mentioned that the man is suffering, yeah, in truth they mentioned some of the things that, you know, some of these medical jargons, all of them. But indeed, what I do know that the man needs urgent medical care, but not to the extent of the 186 doctors raising that alarm to that level that all of us now begin to look at whether it's international diplomacy we are now faced with, or international war.
All right.
I don't know.
Smart. Some analysts have said that, well, the federal government contributed in making this issue, you know, blown out of proportion originally. Because the point there is that the court had granted him bail. A court had said, okay, you are entitled to go on a medical trip. He has this right to do all of those. So it shouldn't have been an issue in the first place. But the federal government, because of the ways they've gone about this issue, have made this issue an international case.
Mike, you see, you will recall that on this platform, I have said it several times that governments have made El-Zakzaki an hero, sort of. Most especially when the demonstration became persistent, that we had to lose the life of a young guy just coming up, that we had to lose the life of a police officer, a senior police officer that the country have spent so much on in the position of a director of operations of the Nigerian police, you see that is the height of it. Good enough, the government reasoned and felt that, look, if we don't accede to these people's request, it might go out of hand. And thank God, with some of us that called for his release, his release, look, allow him to go on this bail and let him seek this medical attention. But the simple truth is that, going beyond that, it is sad that today we are saying, oh, he has gone to India. Are we supposed to be going to India for a medical? What is wrong with our national hospital in Abuja? What is wrong with other hospitals in Nigeria?
Well, you recall that the first lady raised an alarm about the national hospital.
You see, when you even look at those days, when we were working with the government, the State House Clinic in Marina, very close to TBS, very close to Nitel building, used to be one of the best hospitals in this country. Today, even the State House Clinic in Abuja, it's not even better than a dispensary. And that was even confirmed by the First Lady. I think we had a problem in this country. And we should start looking at the problem. Look, if we have to solve this problem, let us solve it holistically. Let us go back to the basis. That is why we are having so much of insecurity, so much of agitation. It is because of the fact that we have failed in our basic responsibility. Why should somebody be sick and you are flying him abroad? Okay, the doctors, all the doctors that wrote to the government, the 186, did they have access to him? How did they get his medical record? Has he been, okay, at what point did he even apply for visa? At what point did he even get visa to go to India? Who is paying for it? I mean, you see, there are so many questions that need to be that need to be asked. But beyond that, honestly, we should not be sick and be going to India. Why can't we even bring an Indian doctor back to Nigeria? Why can't we even bring an Indian doctor to Nigeria to give him a treatment? What is wrong? Those days, even in my secondary school, we had Indian teachers. We had foreign teachers teaching us in secondary school.
From India, from Ghana.
Pakistan.
I remember we had this thing at the State House Clinic, the Lagos State Hospital at Marina. Used to have an Indian doctor. What is wrong at this point in time? Are we supposed to be going backward or going forward?
All right. Now, Charles, the point there is a lot of Nigerians are seeing his trip to India as having lots of implications. It could confirm some fears, it could just be speculation, it could be anything. But if the government says that, because confirming from the fact that there's heavy security accompanying him, and if you look at things from that window, what should government look at? What kind of caution should government look at?
I really don't think there's any cause for alarm at all. Because if you look at before the government must have acceded to those requests, first of all, they must have done proper checks. Don't also forget that India and Nigeria will enjoy very robust bilateral, in fact, multilateral relations. Exactly. You have trade relations, diplomatic relations. So it's going to a broader country. So I'm not sure that India will want to compromise that relationship that we have with them at all fronts to now begin to say, okay, they will allow certain things to happen. Even as they are there, India will want to work with Nigeria to ensure that there's no foul play anywhere, apart from even the security around him. Because what our viewers should know is that the man has not been released. He was only given a reprieve to go seek medical attention. So it's still within the government. Okay, the only change is that it's not being incarcerated anymore. Right. But the freedom is also limited because he's going there, he's not going freely. So he's going under the watchful eyes of the government. And then also the Indian authorities will not also let him out of their sight. All right. So I'm sure that's the
So for the minds of those who are skeptical, there's nothing to fear.
There's nothing to fear.
Trust Nigeria, trust the government agencies, trust the courts.
In India, India will not do it. Yeah, exactly. That's
all right.
Talking about a review of this big stories now, I have with me journalist Charles Adeho and public affairs analyst Smart Akwejoye. Good morning to you both, gentlemen.
Good morning.
It's good to have you join us on this public holiday.
Yes.
I wonder how easy it must have been waking you up
we're used to it.
Right.
Once you're a journalist and then you do the job he does as a public analyst,
Right.
there's no way you won't be used to it.
Well appreciated. Thanks again, gentlemen.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's dive straight in. We begin with Daily Trust at this time now. The lead story in Daily Trust is Zakzaki, wife off to India for treatment. The picture story also shows the sheikh right there in the plane. To Daily Sun now, 2 DSS officers escort El Zakzaki and wife to India. 1 police doctor, also a team with 4 family members of the Shiite leader. That's for Daily Sun. We are seeing El Zakzaki, the latest, of course, also being replicated in our next paper, News Direct. El Zakzaki wife flown abroad for treatment amidst heavy security as Buhari ignores El Rufai's conditions. Okay, let's check out what Blueprint is leading with next. Still on El Zakzaki, we see at last El Zakzaki and wife off to India, but there's a rider which says 186 doctors write Buhari. Vanguard is leading with a different line there. It's talking about the developing story on the killing of policemen and civilians in Taraba State. The latest twist now is from a survivor policeman who recalls how he narrowly escaped death. He says lieutenant and villagers saved him from being shot dead. Corpses to undergo autopsy in Abuja. Army warns soldiers against confrontation with policemen. And presidency reacts, says we'll do something soon. That's for Vanguard. Let's check out This Day now. Afraid of reprisal, Army warns personnel to stay clear of police. Urges traveling officers and men to wear mufti. Insists police team didn't inform other agencies of mission on Taraba kidnap kingpin. Well, that's for This Day. The final paper at this time is The Nation. And Nation is leading with 2023 El Rufai, that's the Kaduna State Governor, under fire over call to end zoning. Gentlemen, let's check out the latest on the army and police controversy. Now we are seeing an officer reliving that experience. He's saying he escaped as soon as they saw this third checkpoint or this car trailing them from behind and then opened fire on their vehicle. Some of them managed to escape. While they were also being pursued by this insistent officer, they took the intervention of the villagers who were filming the process. That was how he got saved. What's your perception or what's your thinking now, Charles?
I think it's quite sad that the various agencies, security agencies that are supposed to work in tandem are now working at cross purposes. Time there was in this country where you had a pool of all of them, and then you had where they now set up like a clearing house for information, which was of course supervised by the NOAA at that time, National Orientation Agency. You had representative of the Army spokes office. You have the representative of the police, and all of them together. Then all of them will now pull all the information together. They were now sharing information, but today you don't have that anymore. So that's why I'm wondering how was it possible for the police to go into covert operation in Taraba, and they also have the military on ground, and the military was not aware for them now to now receive that distress call, and they didn't know that they were policemen. So, but thankfully, those men who escaped will also help, as investigations are going on, will also help to widen the scope of what actually took place, apart from what we got in the photo footages and films that we watched. So those surviving officers will help us to now deepen the truth behind, the fact behind what actually took place, so that we now begin to see how this military officer or this interagencies collaboration could be further strengthened, rather than them working at cross pursuit. That's exactly what is happening now.
Right.
So instead of them working together, they're now working against each other.
It's also coming at a time now where the army is also insisting that there wasn't adequate communication between both security agencies, so to speak, while letting his officers know how to better relate with the police, and even when they have to travel, they have been asked to wear mufti. What do all these twists now? How do they help this controversy on ground?
Kemi, you see, I think it was 2009. I was in Atlanta on a visit, and all of a sudden, I saw the FBI, the county police, the sheriff, fire service, SWAT, whatever. And I called my younger one that was driving. I said, he said they are coming to bust. I said, and this must be
a major
crime. He said mostly drug and terrorism. He said whenever you see such things that, I said, then why fire service? He said, because the person might want to set the house on fire. He said that is why. He said that for the fact that they have SWAT, they have the local government, so that everybody will be informed of what is happening. Because this is a country that there is so much synergy among the security operatives. But in Nigeria, they are always working apart. You will see the civil defense will be doing an operation, the police will go there and counter it and say, oh, we are not informed. So whose duty is it to perform? You see, we have too much of counter duties by the same operatives. First, there is nothing wrong when you are going, because considering the fact that there is an high level insecurity on that corridor, there is nothing wrong for the police to have informed the brigade commander or the battalion, whoever is in charge, to say, look, we are coming on this road, and this is the vehicle we are taking. We are coming for an operation. Not necessarily you must disclose. But because there was no disclosure now, and considering the fact that, of course, from what we read is that there was an information that somebody has just been kidnapped. Again.
So you're saying a honest mistake may have ensued in the
yes,
process?
Yes, that's exactly what has happened. But however, you see, my worry now is that how come it is the only police guys that receive gunshots and the suspect in question with handcuff was not shot, nothing happened to him, and he was able to escape. So at that point now, you are beginning to ask questions now, because if you had shot at a vehicle, it couldn't have been, the target couldn't have been the only policeman.
All right. I want us to quickly address, perhaps I could just get a final take from you, Charles, now, about this seeming indifference now of the federal government. But the government has said in its defense that the CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, is already been briefed on this matter and has been mandated to investigate and come out with a result. Does this douse the concern about the government's approach to the issue?
It may not, because even what we are expecting now from the investigation may not be far-reaching enough. The army is already exonerating its men. Okay, before the investigation even commenced, the army is already exonerating its men. Like what we discussed now, that there was no proper disclosure about. So when the army is already shielding their men from being culpable, then the investigation, the outcome will not be far-reaching. That's what worries me about all this. Because somebody even saying again that the probable reason why the police didn't share that information is because you really can't trust anybody. You don't even know who is sympathetic to this kingpin and all that.
Well,
so
we'll see how it goes.
We wait to see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes indeed. Thank you so much.
The governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, made a statement really recently that some people would say he was quoted out of context, because he was talking about the issue of merit, he was talking about the issue of qualification, he was talking about the issue of competence to get someone for 2023, instead of just the issue of zoning and all of that. But it was understood differently from some of his supporters who said, no, he was quoted out of context. How does this come to you, Smart? Let me start with you on this. When he said we should jettison the issue of zoning.
First, zoning is a doctrine of necessity.
Okay.
Why I said doctrine of necessity is because of the fact that we felt, look, if we zone, at least it will reduce the pressure or the number of people fighting to get it from a particular, perhaps from the entire nation. So if we do it this way, and to a large extent, it had brought some decency, some decorum. But
and
however,
some fairness, maybe.
Some fairness, okay. But however, I am against zoning. I support El-Rufai on the fact that, you see, why must we zone? So if we are now looking for, if we now have some candidates that are very, very good from a particular place, and because it has been zoned now, So we now go and pick from those incompetent hands in the other zone.
But some people have said when
No,
it comes to
we go and
competence, you can find competent
Yes,
hands
you can. You
from
can.
every
So
part
what
of
I've
the
said
country.
is that at a particular point in time,
Okay.
if this is what we have, so we now say, okay, because it has been zoned, oh, you this competent and you must go and stay. Let us go and pick from this side. No. You see, it is because of, the politicians, the so-called rulers, because I don't see them as our leaders, they have divided us, they have impoverished us that in such a way that we now think that it must be turn by turn. Whom has it helped? Okay. The Northerners have been in power for a very long time. Has it helped them? So why must we zone?
It's not. Is it even the issue of north or south?
You see, you begin to look at north-south. You begin to look at if you talk about north again, you begin to look at religion. It is wrong. If you are good, you are good. No matter where you have come from, you should be able to cut across Edo, where she has come from. You should be able to cut across Ondo State, where I come from. You should be able to cut across Benue, where you come from. You see, you should be able to rule Nigeria as a Nigerian. First, your allegiance should be to Nigeria. And not to because I'm from the north, it should be to the north. Not to because I'm from the south, it should be to the south.
All right, Charles, but the issue there is, if you look at the issue of zoning, which is not, it's just an arrangement, a gentleman arrangement, which has helped to a great extent to douse some level of agitation from seeming minorities and all of that. And then the issue of federal character, which is under the law, to say, okay, let us distribute this thing so that everybody, every part of the country feels the impact of governance and a sense of belonging. How would you react to this?
Well, he is against it. I'm for it.
Isn't that the beauty of
Nigeria? He is against it. I'm for it. Because the reason I'm for it is that, but he speaks from the background of an ideal situation. But we don't have an ideal situation. Yes, okay. Because in an unideal situation, you have to look for a way for you to be able to settle things that can go for you. Because if we look at the Nigerian system, it's a peculiar arrangement we have in Nigeria, where you have multiracial, multicultural, multi-religion, everything is multi. And you must make sure that everybody has a say.
Okay.
If you say you don't go for zoning, for instance, okay, people who are already holding on to power, you say no more zoning, then it remains with them forever. What happened to the Kitima? What happened to the Doma? He said. So we must have a way to conveniently let it go around.
The so-called, there's regions will call collection of minorities.
No, it's not so called. It's not so called. Okay. It's real.
It's minority.
But even where he's from in Ondo State, when power comes there, they will get competent hands. Okay. When it comes to Edo, they will get to Benue. There are only competent people. But let the pendulum go to everywhere.
It's all right. We have to leave it. Oh, let the pendulum swing anywhere.
Swing everywhere.
Charles Idel, thank you very much for coming on the program. Smart Okwoche, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right. You're watching TVC Breakfast. We're streaming live on YouTube. You can connect with us on Twitter using the hashtag TVC Breakfast. Still to come,